This is John Fanistil, Executive Director at the San Diego-based Foundation for Change. The Foundation for Change partners with forward-looking philanthropists to advance progressive causes in the San Diego-Tijuana region. In this presentation, I'd like to talk about what I call Mexico's northern diaspora. San Diego and Tijuana are positioned as the southernmost anchor to new networks that are transforming the political map of the state of California, and as the westernmost anchor to networks that are transforming the shape of the U.S.-Mexico border region. Across the last 20 years, free trade policies promoted by the governments of North America have resulted in a dramatic demographic transformation within the nation of Mexico. Signed in 1992, the North American Free Trade Agreement uprooted centuries-old economic patterns in Mexico, precipitating a devaluation of the peso in 1994 and a dramatic, some would say inevitable, even necessary, economic crisis. The Mexican economy then grew unevenly for more than a decade before falling prey to the global economic crisis of 2008 and 2009. This period of economic growth has been export-driven. Mexico has now signed 12 free trade agreements with over 40 countries, putting more than 90% of trade under free trade agreements. The U.S. and Canada remain the dominant partners. As of 2006, almost 90% of Mexican exports and 55% of its imports fell under NAFTA. This chart shows the growth of Mexican exports to and imports from the United States, by far its principal trading partner. Mexico's growth has been uneven. According to the Congressional Research Service, while NAFTA may have brought economic and social benefits to the Mexican economy as a whole, the benefits have not been evenly distributed throughout the country. The agricultural sector experienced a higher amount of worker displacement after NAFTA because of increased competition from the United States and because of Mexican domestic agricultural reforms. This chart shows the shift of the Mexican labor force from the agricultural to the industrial and service sectors of the economy. The resulting dislocation has prompted a massive northward migration. From 1990 to 2005, the combined population of Mexico's 6 northern border states grew from 13.2 to 18.2 million. This growth of 37% compares to 25% growth outside of the northern states across this same period. The growth in the urban centers of Mexico's northern states has been even more dramatic. The 20 largest cities in Mexico's 6 northern border states grew an average of 50% between 1990 and 2005. The comparable figure for the 60 largest cities in other parts of the country was just 27%. Most impacted have been the Mexican cities located directly on the U.S.-Mexico border. The combined population of the border's 6 megacities, Tijuana, Mexicali, Ciudad Juárez, Reynosa, Nuevo Laredo, and Matamoros, grew from 2.67 million to over 4.5 million across these 15 years. These figures represent the populations of the border cities only, and do not include the larger municipios, of which these cities are a part. A Mexican municipio is analogous to U.S. county. The population growth of these 6 border megacities was 69% across this period of time. Once more, compare this percentage to the growth of Mexican cities outside the northern border region. Note also the percentage of population growth in Tijuana and Reynosa, 84 and 91% respectively. The most explosive growth of all was seen in Baja California Norte, whose population grew an astonishing 71% between 1990 and 2005, a figure which compares to 32% growth in the other northern states. Again, these figures compare with 25% growth in all other Mexican states across this same period. It's safe to say that the population of Mexico has been flooding to the north and to the west. This chart shows the steady growth of the Mexican-born population living in the United States, which grew from 4.17 million in 1990 to 12 million in 2006. Debates in the United States over Mexican immigration essentially mischaracterize the phenomenon. It is better understood as emigration from Mexico, an expression of the economic upheaval wrought by the North American free trade regime. Those who would want to promote free trade and at the same time restrict Mexican migration are naive. The history of the past 20 years demonstrates that we cannot promote the free flow of goods and services in a hemispheric market while convincing human beings, the bearers of the commodity of labor, to stay fixed in place. While the Mexican-born population in the U.S. continues to spread, it remains highly concentrated, with over 83% of its population residing in just 10 states. It is now strongly rooted in Illinois, New York, and increasingly so in Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. But still, it remains centered in the southwest United States. Specifically, it is concentrated in California, which hosts over a third of all Mexican-born U.S. residents, and where Los Angeles functions as something of a capital to the population. Maps like this one are highly illustrative, but they do the viewer an interpretive disservice by disconnecting the Mexican-born population living in the U.S. from the populations of northern Mexico. It is more accurate to think of the Mexican-born population residing in the U.S. as part of Mexico's northern diaspora. Of course, the Mexican-born living in the United States face opportunities and challenges that are distinct from those living in the cities of northern Mexico, but they share much in common and, in most instances, familial ties with the millions of their compatriots who have simply not migrated quite so far to the north. This chart considers the growth of three populations: the Mexican-born population in the United States, the Mexican-born population of the 6 border megacities in northern Mexico, and the Mexican-born population of the other major cities of Mexico's northern diaspora. This northern diaspora of some 25 million people is comprised of millions of extended family trees. The growth of the Mexican diaspora in Southern California is reshaping the state's political map. Over 1/4 of the state's population is found in Los Angeles County, and over 1/3 of the state's population in the remaining counties of Southern California. Even more dramatically, over 28% of the state's population is found in just 4 Southern California counties: Orange, San Diego, Riverside, and San Bernardino. A 5th Southern California county, Imperial County, contains less than 0.1% of the state's population. The growth of the Mexican and Mexican-born population in these Southern California counties, and their increasing participation in the political process, will alter California elections for years to come. Similarly, the trends that are driving Mexico's northern diaspora are altering the relative weight of populations in the U.S.-Mexico border region. Over 40% of the border region's population is now found in Southern California and Baja California Norte. This slide offers a striking visual representation of exactly how imbalanced is the distribution of population in the U.S.-Mexico border region. The pattern of Mexican migration across the past 2 decades has been to the north and to the coast. San Diego and Tijuana, as a result, are increasingly positioned as the westernmost anchor to populations and networks that span the border region, and, as noted, are positioned as the southernmost anchor to the population and networks that span the state of California. I'll have much more to say about these networks in my next presentation. Thanks for listening.